It finally arrived, and we're here. Let's do another product review, talking about Taran Tactical Innovations Combat Master. Good day, Mr. Wick. This is Michael Woodland, and I just want to give you the courtesy to know that we share some of the same skill sets, and the High Table has extended an invitation for me to display my skill in a duel with you. I'm sure you heard of me in all of my feats, and I'm quite impressed about your doings with a pencil. To let you know, I just received a TTI Combat Master chambered in 40 cal, but there will be more improvements given to this modified tool later. So, the next time we speak, may the best man win. All right, good people, this is Michael Woodland, and once again, thank you for joining us for another product review video. This week's show is brought to you in part by Outdoor Dynamics. Because of the generosity of Outdoor Dynamics, they are the reason we are able to go to the range and shoot the firearms we are going to do for this video. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Then head on over to the bell area and then pick one of the 3 descriptions that better suits you for which way you want to receive video notifications from the 𝐿 Tactical channel. Now, you did watch that little clip I did with John Wick in the conversation. I think John Wick was a little shook. In the description, tell me what you think, if John Wick was shook or if he just blew it off. You tell me. Let's start this discussion in the description section below. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this fine tool that I received in the mail. So my buddy, Taran Butler, sent me this Glock 35 customized by his company, Taran Tactical Innovations. And I can honestly say, this is a beautiful tool. Now, of course, if you know me, you already know there is no Glock weaponry in my collection at all. And I must say, Taran, you had me lose a $5 bet to one of my buddies who I was stationed with at Fort Benning, who I call Sandbag. So, Sandbag, next time I see you, I'm going to pay up. I will admit, I am new to Glock, so I don't understand the numbering system with Glock. I do know that this is a Glock 35. I do know American Gun Chick has a Glock 34. Now, I also know that the Glock 34 is a 9mm and this one is a 40 caliber. Now, starting off from the top, the front and rear sights are those of Taran Tactical. So, of course, when you turn around and you look at it, they are a little bit higher than the conventional ones you would get that you would see on a regular Glock. Now, the reason being is for if you decide to put an optic on this firing system, a red dot of some such. Now, if the red dot happens to go out, the sights are high enough that you can still access the sights even if the MOS goes out. So, the thought process with this weapon system is phenomenal because it works with the shooter in more ways than you would think. Now, of course, when you look at this, you do notice the laser engravings all around this firearm, right? So, professionally done. Looks very well. Now, I did have the option, whereas I could have got my logo put on it, but I declined not to do that because everything you do extra on this firearm, it's going to push the date you get it back a little bit further. That's one thing I did realize when I did get the phone call and started getting all the options that I wanted on this. So overall, I'm pleased with this. I've yet to shoot it. So on this video, this will be the first time I will actually shoot this. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this both in the 40 caliber, and we're also going to put a conversion barrel in it that is 9mm also. Because one of the plans I have for this firearm is to go ahead and shoot this within carry optics for a little bit. So let's talk about the internals a little bit. The barrel and the chamber area is ion bonded, you know, the bronze color. It looks fabulous, you know, with this firearm. So of course, when you're looking at through the slide cuts, this trigger, now one thing I did specifically ask for that the trigger be at least 2.5 pounds, because my competition gun is 2.5 pounds. So I don't want this one to be 3 pounds, and then when I start shooting it, I get used to it, and then I got to get reused to my main competition on firearm. So jumping forth to the stippling, this stippling is very nice. It's not as aggressive as I would like it to be, but it is aggressive enough. And of course, when you look at it on the firearm, it's all over. So you got your index points on both left and right side, right? And then you also have it on the undercut portion as well. And speaking of the undercut, I did get the double undercut because of the fact when I am holding it, that is an index point. So of course, if I feel that texture under there, I know for a fact if my hands are in the right place or not. So it's just an index point. The same thing if I'm shooting and if I'm resting my finger, I can use this as an index point as a reference to say, okay, finger off the trigger, right? And then at the same time, on the other side of the firearm, my thumb is resting on the next index point. The mag well. The mag well is very clean, you know. Now, of course, the one that I have on my competition gun, it is a little bit bigger. So there's a lot more room for error when it comes to that mag well. But this mag well right here is specifically made with the competition shooter in mind who actually shoots IPSC and IDPA, because this does fit into that box that you put into IPSC and IDPA. And apparently what actually ended up, like earlier versions of the mag wells, probably was too big, but on this backside, from what I understand, fits perfectly in. And then too, even when you look on the inside of it, the mending between, you know, the grip, the base of the grip and the mag well is very clean. It is very clean. And then even when you look at the slide cover plate, you have this right here done up with the TTI logo. So everything on this firearm is done with some form of thought put into this. Now understand, as we said beforehand, that this firearm is made for the competition shooter in mind. Now one thing that is taken into effect is the fact that the slide is lightened and the spring is changed out to allow this to become the race gun that it is. Part of the lightening that they did was the cuts. So of course, you know, the Glock 35 already had this initial cut up top. Now what Taran Tactical Innovations actually did was they did the cutting on the side as well to make it lighter so the slide can perform the way it should perform, being a race gun. So now of course with this lightening of the slide, it reduces that recoil on the firearm, whereas when you're seeing everybody shoot the Combat Master fast, the process between the recoil spring and the lightning slide makes that recoil less, so you can easily get your sights back on target. Very well thought out. Another thing is, a lot of people don't like the finger grooves. So of course, when I had the option given to me, I stated I wanted to keep them because I feel like the finger grooves are important on a firearm. Now I have some firearms that don't have them, but I do have some that do, and this is one that I do. So it's all personal preference. So I do like the finger grooves on this as well. So now let's talk about what comes in the box when you get this firearm after you order it from Taran Tactical Innovations. Now, depending on if you sent your firearm in or if you ordered it from them, you will get 2 magazines with the TTI base pads that plus up the round count for you. You get the original back straps for the different texture of how you want it, as far as small, medium, and large, as far as the grip goes. You get the Glock magazine loader. You get the Glock cleaning system, brush and handle. You get the original parts, front and rear sight, the slide plate cover, the recoil spring. You get the original bullet fired from Glock when a firearm leaves their factory. You get your instruction manuals. You get the Taran Tactical sticker, and you get the mounting plates if you decide to put a red dot on your firearm. So when you get your box, of course, you know, you're just going to get the Glock box that it came in, and of course, you get Taran's signature on the box. So I don't think a lot of people really care about the box after they get the firearm, because now it's all about the show with the firearm and what you can do with it. Now, one thing I plan on doing with this Combat Master that I've already stated beforehand is put a red dot on it and shoot carry optics with this. But it doesn't make sense for me to shoot carry optics in 40 caliber. So actually what I ended up doing, because I have a Glock 35, which is 40, I ended up getting a conversion barrel that fits the Glock 35. Now, this makes it 9mm. Now, of course, forward thinking with everything I wanted to do, I already got the extended base pads from Taran in 9mm. Of course, when we go out to the range and we start doing the shooting, I do have the 40 also, but this is a mag pull. But the main shooting reason is to have 2 firearms, a 40 and a 9. Let's take this apart and see what the internals are with this firearm. Now, when you look at this firearm, of course, taking it apart is just like any other Glock, because that's what it is a Glock. It's just modified. Now, when you're looking at the insides, you can tell the polishing and the cleaning and the redoing the armor's done to this firearm. So that's part of that Timony system that makes that trigger pull so smooth and crisp. Now when you go to take apart the slide, this system, it's just like taking apart a regular Glock. The only difference is now you have a different stainless steel guide rod and a different spring that is set forth to make the slide operate as it should with this firing system. Now, the other thing is when you take this apart, unlike a regular Glock, because a regular Glock does not have this little ring. This ring doesn't do anything more than hold the spring and that guide rod in place so it can function the way it needs to function. And of course, you take the barrel out just like anything else. So from a -10, as we say in the military, or the base takedown you should do if you're unaware of what to do and everything is this. So instead of having the 4 different parts, now you got 5. And I'm counting that little ring as the 5th. Now, so since we already have this apart, I do want to compare it to another Glock. Now, of course, this is a Glock 19, and it's not a Glock 35, but all those systems are similar. So, of course, when you look at this Glock 19 with the guide rod, it looks the same as the original one that's there with the Glock 35. This one doesn't have that little ring on it, as we spoke on with the Glock 35. But as you can tell, when you take it apart, it takes apart the same way. So the modifications are in place with the firearm to make it perform the way it does. So technically, when you look at it, you do have a professionally grade race gun. Now the other side of it is we're going to go ahead and take this Alpha Wolf conversion barrel out the package. We're just going to go ahead and slide it in. Put everything back together. Do a functions check. There you have it. Now, I have a Glock 34 in a sense, which is just a 9mm. Conversion barrel from 40 to 9. Now, for those of you who are new to firearms, don't get it twisted. If I have a 9mm Glock 34, I cannot put the 40 caliber in there because it will not work. You have to start off with the bigger caliber, 40 caliber, purchase the 9 and put it in, and therefore it will work, the conversion barrel. So let's head out to the range and let's throw some rounds down range and let's see how the 40 actually shoots and the 9 in the conversion barrel.